How do I take ownership then? And I'm like, that's the whole point. That's the whole point.
Right.
The whole point of taking ownership is when you, it's the same thing with leadership. If I'm trying to force my plan down my team's throat, the more resistance I'm going to get from it. Whereas if I plant the seed and I allow that plan to grow with them, the better it's going to be received. Like when people ask me, how do you get people to buy in? Well, you allow them to come up with a plan yourself.
What if in your mind you're like, you really know that plan's not that good?
It depends on how bad it is. How bad is it? Or what's at stake? If you're working for me and you're going to meet with a client and you have a bad pitch that you're going to give them, and the client is some tiny client that I think is a low probability of us working with, and the contract doesn't really matter, I'd be like, hey, give it a shot. Here's a couple, I might give you a couple adjustments and give you some coaching on it. And then you go and you do your thing and you come back and you're like, oh no, we didn't land it. And I say, well, what do you think? Let's debrief. And now we talk about it. I said, you said this and you said that. Here's some other ways to go about it. I might even actually have you do it to me. So then I could sit there and take some notes and say, hey, here's some other things that might have worked. Now, if you were going to meet with a big client that really was going to add value to our company, I'm gonna either
step in,
I'm gonna step in and be like, okay, let's think about that. What's their reaction gonna be? And by the way, that's when I'm not gonna say no, don't do it that way. I'm gonna say, tell me that again, and let me give you some objections that you might hear from them.
That's good.
And all of a sudden, I'll let you come up with the solutions. Even though I'm sitting there going, yeah, what he needs to say is this. No, I'll let you come up with the solution. So then you're kind of going in there like you got this dialed, and then you're gonna feel like you won. Which you did.
That's great.
Which is great.
It gives you more ownership, more respect in yourself, confidence, belief. How important is feedback for leaders? Getting feedback from peers, coaches, or employees, team members.
Feedback is how you get better. No feedback, no improvement. So if you're not humble, you're not looking for feedback and you're not listening to it. So if you think you know everything, you're not listening, you're definitely not asking for it, and even when it gets told to you, you don't listen to it. So feedback is built upon being humble.
What would you say is in your way to getting to the next level? What feedback do you think you need to hear or receive from your team or people in order to reach the next goals that you have?
I mean, the weird thing about me is, even though you might look at me and think, oh, who's gonna tell this guy anything, right? The reality is, if anyone of my friends, my team, anyone that works for me up and down the chain of command, if they think I'm wrong, everyone will say, hey, I don't know if that's a good plan. So even, when I was a task unit commander, so I'm in charge and I'm the head SEAL for this 40 SEALs. I'm the main guy. Anyone in that chain of command, those guys would all come to me and say, hey, I don't know if this is a good way to do it. And you know what I'd say? Why not? What do you think? What are you thinking? How do you think we should do it? My mind is open. If my plan is bad, please tell me. They would know that. So my friends, my family, they'll tell me when I'm doing something wrong all day long.
They're not intimidated or scared of you?
No.
That's good.
No.
So how does a leader cultivate that with his family, friends, team, in order to welcome the feedback of the information?
Yeah, what you do is when somebody gives you feedback, you listen to it. This is like, just the other day we have a leadership event that we do 2 or 3 times a year. But the thing that I was telling this group of people was, as a leader, you should be listening 98% of the time and talking 2% of the time. So every time you come to me and you say, hey, Jocko, I don't like this plan. I don't say, shut up and do it my way. No, I say, how would you want to do it? Tell me what you don't like about it, and then tell me how you want to do it. So therefore, the next time you have an objection, you're like, the door's open, that I'm going to be open-minded and listen to you, and that's how you build it. Every time you shut someone down from speaking their mind, you actually are creating a negative environment where you're not going to get the feedback. And if there's no feedback, as we just said, you're not going to improve.
What are 2 things that any leader could do to improve their leadership skills right off the bat? 2 things you can think of. And what are 2 things that wannabe leaders do that hold them back from being great leaders? So what are 2 things they could add to our
2 things that you
sets?
add. Number 1 is listen, which we just talked about, so that's fresh on my mind. And you'd be surprised about how many leaders are thinking that because they're in a leadership position, they should be talking all the time. Wrong answer. Wrong answer. I'll sit through a meeting with a client or with one of my companies and I'll listen for 38 minutes. And at the end of those 38 minutes, I'll have already thought through every discussion that's been had. You know, you want to argue with him and he's arguing with her. And guess what? I get to sit there and assess those arguments and see which one is the most important. Meanwhile, you're expending all your ammunition. She's expending all her ammunition. He's giving up everything he's got. I'm learning all their thought patterns. I'm learning the pros and cons of each one of their arguments. And I do that for 38 minutes. And in the 39th minute, I say, hey, here's what I think we should do. And guess what? Because I've done an accurate assessment and listened, I'm actually going to be able to make the best decision.
Yeah.
It wasn't because I was smarter. It wasn't because I had better tactical understanding. It's because I actually shut my mouth, listened to everyone spill their guts, learned everything that they knew, and did a good detached assessment of what the right thing to do was. So listen, and the other one is the word that I just used, which is detach, which is not getting emotional, not getting into the weeds about stuff that doesn't matter. If you can take a step back and look around, you're going to see infinitely more than you can when you're in the weeds, staring the firefight in the face, looking down the sights of your weapon, shooting. If you're doing that, you can't see anything else. Just think about that metaphor right there.
Yeah.
If I'm looking down the sights of my weapon and I'm shooting, my world is this big. The minute that I stop shooting, point my weapon at high port, take a step back and actually look around, I can see infinitely more. So apply that to this is the meeting that we just talked about, a 38-minute meeting. All this chaos is happening. Sure, I'm the boss. I could jump in there and start arguing and giving my opinion. But what am I really doing then? What I'm really doing then is I'm in the weeds and I'm not able to assess what is actually happening. So there you apply it there. To your personal life. If you and I are arguing, you're my friend and you did something and now we're starting to escalate an argument and I'm starting to get emotional, am I able to listen to you anymore?
No.
Am I able to logically figure out what's going on? If I'm talking to my wife and she did something that made me mad and now I'm starting to raise my voice, is that whole situation going in the right direction?
No.
No, it's not. It's not. So what I need to do is take a step back, detach, calm down, listen to what she's saying, and then try and assemble a logical thing to say back without saying, you need to calm down or you're too emotional. No. Because if you come to me and you're mad about something, you come to me, whether it's my wife or whether you're a business partner, you come to me and you say, the supply department didn't give me the stuff I needed. If I say, hey, calm down, right? If that's my reaction, then you realize that I'm against you, right? I don't get it. And so now it's me and the supply department against you.
No one understands.
No one understands. So I do a little technique.
What is that? Yeah.
I call it reflect and diminish. So I'm going to reflect your emotions back to you, but I'm going to diminish them a little bit so that we're not escalating the situation.
How would you do this with your wife?
So if you come to me and you go, the supply department's been late, they're 2 weeks late on this stuff. I don't say, calm down. I say, oh, you got to be kidding me. 2 weeks? And you go, yeah, can you believe it? That's horrible. We got to put a solution. We got to get that figured out. In the meantime, what do we need to do right now to get the problem solved, right? So now we're on the same team so we can work together to find a
We
solution.
bonded on the pain.
Yes.
You felt the pain.
Yes. We're on the same team.
Yeah.
Okay, my wife, what's going to make my wife mad? The ice machine's not working. Right? The ice machine's not working.
It's your fault.
Yeah, whether it's my fault, but we don't know. The ice machine's not working. By the way, this is a real story. This is happening today.
Really?
The ice machine's not working. I mean, she didn't get mad about it, but the ice machine's not working. If I go, hey,
chill out.
You have a refrigerator and a house, and you got
Live on
plenty
the
of things. You
beach.
can just calm down,
Yeah.
right? How's that going to go? It's not going to go good. Now she's going to get mad. Now it's me against her. So instead, the ice machine's not working. Man, that thing is junk. Have you called the repair guy? You know what I mean? And then all of a sudden we're on the same team, and she's like, well, no, I haven't, but I'm about to. Okay, cool. As opposed to the ice machine's not working. Well, okay, do you want me to have ice shipped in from Alaska there, princess? Right? That's not going to go over well. So
what did you call it?
Reflect and diminish.
Reflect and diminish.
diminish.
What if someone's coming after you and attacking you? Not like the supply chain or the ice machine, but it's like, you didn't do this.
Oh, yeah.
This is your fault.
I want you to guess what I'm going to do.
What's that?
What do you guess I'm going to do? Like, if you come and attack me and tell me something's my fault, what do you think I'm going to do?
You personally?
Yes.
You would listen.
Yes.
Reflect and diminish.
I would actually
Detach.
Detach, yes.
How do you detach your emotions from someone coming after you emotionally, even if it was or wasn't your fault?
Well, there's a couple things that you've asked me now in the last couple minutes. No,
Yeah,
it's all good because it's
exciting.
Because I can see like your mind is spinning here. You're absorbing and you're like, oh, this makes sense. If you're attacking my ego, immediately, as soon as I feel frustrated, angry, defensive, all three of those things are red flags to me that that's my ego.
Okay.
I immediately know. I go when I feel my bristling.
Like you wanna,
yeah, when I feel that, I know I guarantee it's 99%. It's just my ego that I'm mad.
So what do you do in that moment?
I immediately go, oh, that's your ego, you idiot. Listen to what he's got to say. Let's win. Let's win. So how do I win? Do I win by attacking you?
No.
No, I don't win by attacking you.
If you're the only winner, you both lose.
Yes. So when you attack me,
you both need to win.
And you say, whatever your attack is, you say, this is your fault. I go, you know what? Absolutely. This is my fault. Wow. Here's the mistake that I made. And I know it affected you in a negative way. Here's the things that I'm working on right now to remedy it. Wow. What are you going to do? Are you going to yell at me more? Are you going to tell me it's my fault again? Like a crazy person might say a couple more times. Yeah, and a crazy person, I'll be like, yeah, I know. This, I get this. This is another question I get when it's sort of like similar to what you said earlier. When you said, yeah, but what if it's not really your fault, right? The other one I get a lot is if you say, hey, listen, Lewis, this is my fault that this happened. And you go, you're right, it is your fault. And then people say, what do I do then? What do I do then? If the person's blaming me, how do I take ownership then? And I'm like, that's the whole point. That's the whole point. Right. The whole point of taking ownership is when you look at me and you point your finger and you say, this is all your fault. I say, yes, I know, that's what I just said. This is absolutely my fault. I'm the one that's in charge, and these are the things that I'm going to do to fix it. That's where we're going to start.
Wow.
So when someone blames you, yes, take ownership. Now, if you have in the back of your mind, like you did earlier, like, hey, maybe this isn't really my fault.
Yeah.
Like if you have that in the back of your mind, you're actually wrong.
Wow.
You're actually wrong. You're in charge. And that applies to your life as well. That applies to your life as well. How you got to take ownership of what's going on in your life. When you're not where you want to be and you say it's because the boss doesn't like you or it's because the girl treated you this way or the guy did this, like all those things, you got to take ownership of them.
Yeah.
And if you're blaming all these other external things, you're not going to make any changes. And that's going to be a problem.
If you want more greatness in your life, then you got to check out this video right here.
So I realized if that 2 minutes and 13 seconds changed my life, that's all it was. I saw something that I needed to be in the world I was living in. Maybe my story will give someone the 2 minutes and 13 seconds they need to change their life. Millions of people live in a very comfortable place. That's fine. Don't listen to me. A lot of people are looking for that 2 minutes and 13 seconds. And I might be that person.